Hey friends. So I spent a day, I had a fantastic meeting with some colleagues, and I also had a bit of time to tweak the song that I've been home producing that I wrote for the memorial a week or so ago. And all of these experiences, like I said yesterday morning, I spoke about this in my post yesterday. I had a kind of moment of seeing it's like all of a sudden the possibility of certain next steps felt palpable, it felt graspable. And one thing that's happening, because I have been influenced by what I've heard Sadhguru say in one of his books about life moving in 12-year cycles. There's all kinds of sub-cycles, but overall kind of energetic cycles happen in about 12-year increments, according to Sadhguru, whom I believe about everything. And beyond taking his word for it, as I've observed my own predicament over the last couple of months, several months, 5 or 6 months, I'd say, I have seen a pattern where it's like coming to the bottom of a parabolic curve, where it's like things are just leveling off, and it's like it's funny because I'm getting this time around a bit more insight into what's happening here. Because I went to a leadership conference back in November, where one of the themes was seasonality of leadership and being conscious of being in a winter being a season where things are kind of dormant, hibernating, restoring. A fair amount of work and activity is taking place below the surface, but not necessarily manifesting above the surface. And I've had that feeling, I have to say, it's hard for me to trust that still. I still have kind of an American, like, if I'm not out there proving it, then it's not happening attitude. But I don't actually believe that in my kind of conscious beliefs. I think that I do, on some level, still have trouble shaking the subconscious feeling that that's the case. Like, if it's not manifesting now, then it might not really be real. Like, until I see the proof in the external world, I don't really necessarily believe it. And like, I have to just kind of like accept that there's a part of me that still is gonna, shout that at me every once in a while, and I might need to just be like, okay, I hear you, and chill. Voice, chill. I'm happy to listen to you from time to time, but also you're not the only voice. You're not giving me the only information that I'm getting. I've got other sources. And so even as I have that sort of niggling feeling like I should be doing more, I've also had a real sense that I am doing work right now on a deep level in a powerful way. And I don't quite know what it's towards yet, because it's still incubating and it's still dormant in some ways. And as I said yesterday, I had this feeling, it wasn't just a feeling, it was like an impression of really kind of understanding, oh, here come the next steps. Yes, there are going to be next steps, and they're going to be great. And I kind of let that sit with me for a day or so. And today, I've associated that re-emergence with also the kind of bottoming out of this 12-year cycle and the possibility that things might start to kind of ramp up again. What I most of all want to do is not be in a hurry. I want to not be in a hurry to get to where I'm expressing it all again. I can prove it to myself. I think if assuming that I'm becoming more mature and more conscious over the course of these cycles, I ought to be able to go a little deeper into winter, into hibernation, so that I can go deeper and higher into expression when it's spring and summertime. So there's that. And I think, the thing that I'm adding into just sort of mentioning out loud is my awareness of these 12-year cycles and the fact that what's happening is giving me a chance to wait and to be still. And even as I do some of the creative projects that I've been doing, and even as I survey certain options for like professional work or professional development, I'm doing my best to kind of take my craving for knowing what I'm doing out of the mix. I can't wish that feeling away. That's a desire that a fair amount of my psyche has. And I can't just make it go away by wishing it would go away. But what I can do is listen to it and then also let it take a pause, put it to the side, and just be still, and not allow that voice to obscure what else is coming in. Because if I can do that, then I can really embrace what's trying to come in. Part of the difficulty of winter, as described in this leadership conference, part of the difficulty of winter is letting go of the level of perceived success, the level of markable, traceable, point-toable accomplishments. Because when you got those, you're like, look, I must be doing something. I got all these accomplishments. Clearly, I'm accomplishing things. But when you don't have those, then that doesn't, that it could mean that, you know, something's wrong, but it could also mean that that's not what this period is about. And that's what you know, little by little, I'm embracing that. Little by little, I'm seeing it's okay. It's actually okay to not be accomplishing that much right now. Because if I know, I can already look back on now from like a year or 2, 3 down the road and be like, oh my God, there was so much going on in my life at that moment, in my inner life, and even in my kind of outer life, but in a contained way within the family, within certain key relationships, learning to express certain key things in the way that I express. And it's funny because if I do that exercise of like going a year or 2 down the road, then it's like, wow, there's so much happening. I'm really proud of myself for being able to sit with that and just let those be the things, because those are the things that are going to turn into something that grows again and grows into something more external. And then that'll eventually have to die. You know, if I look at even the last couple of years of my professional work and creative work, there's a kind of a culminating moment, a clear, like, okay, now we're reaping the fruits of this harvest. And then there's a kind of dying of that. There's a dwindling of the plant, you know, it's becoming fall. The plants are decaying and kind of going back, recycling into the soil. And there were definitely moments where I resisted that. I was like, no, I don't want to recycle into the soil. I want to be a big, tall tree. Man, it's exhausting being a big, tall tree. And like finding that I wanted to be a big, tall tree, but it just wasn't the time. And you know, and I think little by little I'm accepting that, and I'm not only accepting it, but I'm understanding the real value of it, and like almost leaning into it in a way. So that cyclicality, that long-term cyclicality, because if I think about where I was 12 years ago, it's like so weirdly, bizarrely similar energetically. Very, very similar. Very similar place. And anytime that we're in a place like this, where it's kind of a low, an incubation period, it's easy to go, what the hell's happening? Why is my life, what's holding it together? Where are we going here? Throw me a bone. But it's like, you know, if a bear is hibernating, hopefully the bear isn't like halfway through his hibernation going, what's going to happen? Do I really need all this rest? I mean, I've been sleeping for like 2 months. Is this for real? Like, why do I need so much hibernation? Like, what if I just get up now and then start? Isn't there work to do? Isn't there like, I don't know, berries to eat? I don't know what a bear's version of this would be. but it would clearly be misguided to question whether or not hibernating for the seasonally appropriate amount of time were the right thing to do. And yet, as a human, that's almost like the normal way of approaching a period of lowered activity and incubation. So I'm trying to just let that be as it is and find joy in it. And generally when I do that, that's when the moments happen of like, oh, I can see that being actually like genuinely really interesting. What if I go that way, you know? So that's where I am today. It's ongoing. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.